But you see, at the beginning of their journey, they're like the ship going from port to port, a day's journey, and then they'd spend the night, unload, load.
Right.
The next day was a day's journey.
Yeah,
so for them to get blown off course, off the coast, I mean, they were never designed to do that.
Right. Right.
And there is this area. It's not so much a reef, but a sandbar. And that's what they know that drifting into.
I wonder if it's also like we're knowing that like this is how ships used to travel, like stay closer to the coast because you're just kind of going in and out of port. In this kind of situation, like on this kind of sea, that it's also kind of an indication of like following the Lord and like them like getting completely taken off track, and then like God, smashing you into a sandbar, and you get saved, but the ship's completely destroyed, sort of thing. It's like I wonder if there's I wonder like how much he really meant for us to get that illustration of like he can like get us back to where we need to be, sort of thing. And also how you can get people like Paul to where he needs to be, or like I think about Joseph, how he got Joseph to where he needed to be, and all the lessons and all the revelations that are also happening because Paul's preaching to all these people, and he would have never had that kind of opportunity. And then the testimony of like all these people getting off the ship and going, "Do you know what happened?"
Well, Paul is.
Well, they wanted to kill him.
Paul is basically their salvation because otherwise all the prisoners would have been killed. And we were learning how God changes a heart in a man's heart. Somehow this centurion is like wishing to save Paul, saved everybody, saved all of them.
I think too that the idea that like that we're supposed to be salt and light, and like here Paul is like shedding light on the God of Israel to everybody around him. And I just think, what happened when those 276 people left that ship and were able to get home? Like, what were they telling people all along the way? Because a lot of these people were not followers of the God of Israel, not followers of the way they were Gentiles. And so what the heck happened after that with that kind of testimony? Because I don't imagine a lot of people got off that ship without understanding that the God of Israel had just saved them. Whether they became followers of the God of Israel or not, they would have had to be telling people that story.
There's a theme that I find interesting throughout the Bible, and this is not mine. I got somebody else, but I've been following it as we go. And it's every story from the beginning is essentially God asking people, "Do you trust me?" And if you do, then it will be well with you. And even going back to the commandments, it's, "Do you trust me?" Going to the respect your parents. Your parents are supposed to be your models for God and bring you to the Father via their actions and their modeling. Do you trust them? I command you to trust them so that they can bring you to me so you can trust me. It all is just this following of, or this chain of trusting God. Elohim has favorably given you all these who sail with you. I believe, Elohim, that it shall be according to the way that was spoken to me. And it's the belief that God said it, I'm good. I don't have to think about it anymore. And everybody who's done that has been favored by Yahweh. David, well, I was going to say, that was his name.
What Solomon?
Yeah, until he started building the altars. That's not so good. But everybody that you see that really just trusts in God, even unto Yeshua came as a man and had to live by our clouded understanding of what's God's plan for me. Do I really have to do this? Yeah, you do. I don't understand it, and I know this stinks, but I'm going to do it anyway because you said, and I trust you. So even modeling that for us at the end. But I've always found it interesting all the way through. There's an opportunity for every person who's identified in the Word to trust God or to take it upon themselves and try to fix it themselves. And fixing it yourself almost always ends in disaster. And trusting God always gets you there. He tells you where you're going to go, not how.
Right.
But you always get there.
Well, and it's the how that I think it's the imagination of the how of like, not sure I want to submit to whatever the how might be, not knowing the how. But you're right. I think it always comes back to that same thread, and it makes it very simple. It makes this walk very simple. But it's the same with the commandments. The commandments, it's like, do you trust me? Then do it this way. Like this is how you do it.
Just
right.
I said should be good enough. Just I've got your best interest at heart. Just trust me.
Yeah. And I remember Jay and I had this conversation when we got together. We were both Sabbath keepers, and but I wasn't keeping the feast and didn't think we were supposed to be keeping the commandments. It was kind of a hot mess of my own personal uneducated theology, and I just remember like we had these conversations about why I'm Cajun, so why we could eat all the things, and I just remember because I'm also a dietitian. I'm like, pork is just terrible for you. They're all bottom feeders. That's probably why, and it's probably about health. And he's like, no, it's because God said so. That's it. Like that's enough. And once you start looking into your own reasoning, and it really was a big deal for me to really grasp onto that and just be like, this is why. And it's why everything else. It's the same answer for everything else. It doesn't matter why. And sometimes the things that we look at about what he commands us to do, we can actually dig into it and understand his heart more. And it's not necessarily telling us why, it's telling us more about him. But it's not really for us to know why. It's just for us to be like, what does this mean about him? Or what does this mean about what I should be doing? Or what do I have to do to get myself, what do I have to let go of to trust him or whatever it is? There's always these kind of things, but he's always right. We're always the ones who are like having to get in line, because it's never the case that something doesn't add up and then we're right. It's always.
We have a thing at home is understanding this central to my salvation or not.
Right.
And if it's not, then okay, it's cool if you know, but if you don't, then move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Or one of the things that's really common in our household is this really essential to salvation? Should we know it? And then the other aspect, because we've been around for a while, is do we need to argue with people about this?
Does it have any real impact on how we live from day to day?
Yeah.